Hi guys, it's me again. It's the same day. I'm sorry, like this one is tough. Like, okay. So guys, I hope you all are doing well. Now I want to talk about what they call respiratory modalities, and I thought it would be really good for my audience to kind of know when they're talking about oxygen, what does that mean? Oh, he's on oxygen. Oh, he's on oxygen. Usually, I want to tell you guys, like, those nurses, like, if you tell somebody that, oh, your dad is on oxygen, you have to understand that this freaks the family out. Like, a lot of people don't know what you mean by oxygen. It's like, okay, you put him on oxygen, does that mean he cannot have his own oxygen? Like, you gotta explain, like, explain it to them. So in this video, I'm gonna just talk about the different types of oxygen therapy, or the types of oxygen that they put at the hospital. Okay, so let's start with the first one. The first one is called the nasal cannula. With a nasal cannula, you just put it like nasal, your nose. You put it through your nose and it goes like all around behind your ear. And this is good because with this, at least, like, the patient is still able to talk. The patient is able to eat and communicate and socialize, whatever he wants to do. And it gives about like 25 to 45% oxygen. Again, this is like, because if you know, as we know, not as we know, 21% of air is oxygen. So when we're mixing it for even the 1 liter, is like 25%. Excuse me. So yeah, so it gives about 1 liter to like 6 liters of oxygen. So that is that. And then the second one is called the face mask. And the ones that I'll be talking about from now on are just face mask. Other than the Ambu Bag. So it's like a face mask, and it gives about 40 to 60% oxygen, 8 to 10 liters. And so they'll put it around your mouth, and this is more for people who need extra oxygen. But it's also good because, like, if you're breathing through your mouth and not through your nose, because maybe there's something going on in there, it's good for those type of people. So the next one is called partial. Well, let's talk about the Venturi first. The next one is called the Venturi Mask. It's still like the same. Let's use this as an example. It's still the same, like, face mask, but like, the only difference is that it has this little thing at the bottom that you can take off and on, and each one of those has like a different color for different amounts of oxygen that is like for different amount of oxygen like that the person needs, and it's good for COPD patients. And the other one is called, oh, and I forgot the number of oxygen, so it gives between 24 to 50% oxygen. And then the next one is called the partial rebreather mask. Yeah. So the partial rebreather mask is still a mask, but the only difference is that it has like 2 little like things on the side that allows, like, one is usually out, so it allows ambient air or regular room air to come in through. And this is what is usually used the most because like if you really need a lot of oxygen. And this one gives about like, is it 60 to 80% oxygen. The liters, I'm not quite sure, to be honest, but yeah. So let's see if I can find it. Partial rebreather. I don't have the liters on it. I'll check it out later, guys. I'll let you know maybe. And so the non-rebreather has like those little things on the side again, so no room air is able to come in. So if you guys see, this is so cool because there's actually water in this bottle, which is like oxygen, but usually it has like a bag, like a really bag here at the bottom. Yeah, so the thing with the non-rebreather mask is like it's closed, so you're only breathing what they're giving you, which is like 80 to 100% oxygen. And the thing with that is, like, you can easily suffocate with this, because what if the oxygen is actually not connected to the wall? Oh my god, yo. Anyway, we make it seem like it's like all day and dang ding, but like, this is serious stuff. But yeah, and then the last one is called the Ambu Bag. The Ambu Bag is usually used for emergency. It's also called a bag valve mask. Yes. And they just put like this mask, you know, when there's an emergency. So usually those people, when they come with the ambulance, they'll put it on your mouth and then they'll be squeezing. And they should be giving you like 100% 100% oxygen. Yeah, 100%. It should be giving you 100% oxygen, 15 liters. I'm sorry. Ooh. It's cold in here and I'm having a dress on, so I'm like getting cozy. So that is that. Yeah, so in a room, you know, usually as a nurse, you want, like I said, you want to, if you're having an endo tube, keep an endo tube in the room, keep an ambu bag in the room, something called a capnography, you know, like if we're going to put in stuff and, you know, want to check if there's enough oxygen. As the nurse, you're going to have to do, like, if you're going to move on to, like, what I talked about. I don't know if I talked about it already. I think I talked about it already. If you're going to put in an endo tube, you're going to have to do an x-ray, do ultrasound first, listen to the lungs, ultrasound, and listen to the lungs, take vitals, and send them for x-ray to just make sure that, you know, that endotracheal tube is in the right spot. You want to suction them, check and make sure that they're not dying. Like, when I say they're not dying, it's like, you know, pulse is not like running up really fast. They're not like breathing so fast, or like O2 stat is not just like boom, 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 you know, that type of stuff. And that is it for respiratory modalities. And I didn't plan on connecting that with something else. Let's see if I can connect that respiratory modality with something. Oh yeah, so we can now talk about did I talk about the vent stuff already? I feel like I talked so much that I forgot what I talked about. Yeah, so the next thing I want to talk about then is the lower respiratory section, and I'm gonna be kind of brief with this because I should be brief with this. You guys don't need to know like all the details, but with the lower respiratory system, right? Just understand that like the lower part of your body, or your lungs, the lower respiratory side, doesn't like air in it, especially what they call the pleural. What is it called? The intrapleural space doesn't like air from the outside coming in. So, for example, if you happen to have like trauma to your chest, and any type of trauma, like a bleb in a healthy person, what they call flail chest, where you have paradoxical movement. I don't want to go into all of that, but just understand that your lungs don't like air coming from outside. So if you're getting shot or you fall and air goes in there, one of your lungs is gonna collapse. And meaning, like, because your lungs doesn't like extra air coming in, it likes negative, as I want to say, energy. It likes negative pressure in it. So stuff could go in there, like pus could go in the pleural space, blood could flow into the pleural space, air could be in the pleural space. You don't want nothing in the pleural space. Pus, empyema in the pleural space is empyema. Fluid or blood is hemothorax, where your lungs cannot collapse due to the fluid. You have pleural effusion, which is just fluids in between the pleural space. So you have fluid, pleural effusion, empyema, which is pus in between the pleural space. A hemothorax, again, thorax is just the lungs collapsing though, but it's blood that went into the pleural space causing it to collapse. Pneumothorax, again, you got shot, air got into the pleural space, and you got a pneumothorax. Again, there are many types of pneumothorax, but it's important to just know that air, fluid, whatever in your pleural space of the lungs is bad. So they're gonna use something called a chest tube, and I'm gonna be as brief as possible because I'm trying to be done with this. But they're gonna use a chest tube, and that chest tube is just like a little box thing No, not that. The tube is actually the chest tube, but they have the CDU, which is the machine that collects stuff from the chest tube. So they'll connect. What they'll do is they'll put a hole. But if you're having an emergency like tension pneumothorax, where your trachea is like kind of pushed, what's the name of it? It's called tracheal deviation, where your trachea is like pushed, like pressure from the air is pushing it. They'll put like a first they'll do needle decompression, where they'll literally put a needle in and have that air come out. Or what they can do is put a hole with the chest tube. They'll put a hole into your pleural space, then put the tube connected to that machine so that air can come out. So it's like air can come out, but it cannot go back in. So it's like a one-way air thing, or one-way fluid thing, or one-way pus thing. Other thing is like a thoracentesis, but yeah, but the whole thing is they're trying to drain the fluid out. They're trying to drain the pus out. They're trying to drain the blood out. That's the whole thing. So then let's go down to the box now. The box is like this little box thing on the floor, and it's just like it has a side where it collects your fluids. It has the first part is like the suction is going to be connected to the wall, at least 80 to 120 suction, sucking in that air from the pleural space, or sucking in whatever is in there to make the lung, to have the lung reinflate, because the lung, when you put stuff in it suction area. Then they have a side called the water seal, and the water seal area is the other side of that machine. So think about it, the machine is here, you have the suction area that sucks in, put in, like it kind of, it's like a vacuum, it sucks it in. Then you have the water seal that kind of like is kind of like it just traps the air, and you have like a little gauge at the bottom that tells you 1, 2, 3, 4 if how much air is in there, is, you know. And when the air is not in there anymore, it's not gonna have bubbles in it. But if there's too much, that means maybe there's a king, blah 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 blah. We're not gonna get into that, but yeah, it's this machine, right, that sucks in whatever is not supposed to be in your lung to help reinflate your lung. That's why you don't want to get into no fights or get into accidents. We don't want to get into those, because if you get a hole, then you get air in it, then you can't breathe, you're like and stuff. And if you get fluid in there due to infection or whatever, it's going to be painful taking in a breath. I think that's really it. I think I was able to cover it like without going too much into detail. Yeah, that's it for this, and I don't know what I'm going to talk about next on the next video. I think I want to switch from the respiratory system and talk about psych a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to talk about cancer of the larynx in details. Okay, thank you for watching my video again. Thank you. Bye. All right.